from Deshaun Watson, his first press conference since 2024. We have not heard from Grant Delpit yet this season because he is currently not practicing with the Browns. Todd Monken was asked if Delpit's absence in minicamp was due to injury or due to contract, and Monken's response was, quote, "No comment." Delpit is entering the final year of his 3-year, $36 million extension. He's currently tied for the 17th highest paid safety in football with an annual average value in the contract of $12 million. Delpit wants a new deal. He wants a bag. The highest paid safeties in football are now getting $25 million per year. That's the Derwin James category, the Kyle Hamilton category. I don't think if he got an extension it would be that high. But does Delpit line up with the current timeline of the Browns after trading Myles Garrett? And if you were Andrew Berry in the front office, is this a contract situation you deal with now, or would you say, hey, Grant, play it out, and we'll figure out what to do with you after the season?
How old is Grant Delpit?
Grant Delpit, according to Over the Cap, is 28 years old.
28. Yeah, you're getting around 28 years old. He had the Achilles injury, right?
He did have an Achilles injury earlier in his career.
Okay, so here's what I go with. You 28, 29. He's in what we call no man's land. And he's in no man's land because he's not a superstar player. He's a good player. He's not a underperforming player. He's a good player. So, you in the middle ground, you are in a no man's land in terms of, okay, well, we really can't really get too much from you if we try to trade you. We really not going to cash you out because as a safety, I need my safety to be a Swiss Army knife. I need them to be able to cover. I need them to be able to hit. I need them to have ball skills. Grant Delpit does not have one shining skill where you would be like, oh, man, Grant Delpit is locking you down here, or he's a roamer, or like Kyle Hamilton has skill sets, and namely size, speed, just ball skills, where it's just like it's undeniable. So, and plus he plays a position in safety where it's like, even if you got a great safety, it's the reason Caleb Downs is not. People say Caleb Downs is going to be a top 5 pick. I'm like, you know what a top 5 pick in safety look like? Like, do you understand? You got to be Ronnie Lott, Ed Reed, like Troy Polamalu, and they didn't even go in the top 5.
E-Man had a better physical makeup that would look like a top 5 safety than Caleb Downs did. And he went in the second round.
And he went the second round. So for me, I think he definitely wants the bag. I don't think he's hurt. And I think when they drafted E-Man, it put him and Rodney Hickman on assignment. Because if you think about it, if you got Rodney Hickman and he's a guy and you think, well, maybe we can switch these guys around a little bit and I ain't missing that much in terms from Grant Delpit, the Browns going to look at it and say, well, we already got the safety of the future. He undrafted. We can let both of y'all walk and go do something else and add some other pieces, other parts. I think now you're going to see Carson Schlesinger is the main piece. Mason Graham is going to be the guy up front. And E-Man is going to be the guy in the secondary moving forward. So I think the timeline makes it a little bit difficult because I would like to keep him because I think they're better defense if they had him. But you 28 and everybody else is 22.
Well, I think Jared Verse is the guy up front. Carson is the guy at the linebacker position, and then E-Man is the guy of the future at safety. I definitely think he wants the bag, and like you alluded to, he is in no man's land. It's like a tweener situation. You are not one of the top safeties in the NFL, but you're not one of the worst safeties in the NFL either. And the safety position is one of those positions that has become very devalued as far as in free agency. And I think, when we talk about Andrew Berry learning lessons and not overpaying safeties, I mean, John Johnson III, Juan Thornhill comes to mind. And I think you've seen him learn from those mistakes. And you know what? I can get production at a cheaper rate, or I can possibly go out here and get it through the draft. And we've seen him do that. But I'll tell y'all this as well. Ronnie Hickman was an undrafted free agent, and he's played his behind off to really earn a consistent role with the Browns. I'm pretty sure he is paying attention to Grant Delpit sitting out for whatever reason he has and said, look, hey, this is another opportunity for me to go out here and earn some money and earn some keepsake. They paying attention to everything. This could be a situation like the Greg Newsome situation last year to where Andrew Berry might likely end up trading Grant Delpit because I don't think the Browns are going to re-sign him come the end of the season, and he knew he wasn't going to re-sign Greg Newsome. You traded Greg Newsome and you got something in return, so you didn't lose that player for nothing. I can see the same situation working out with Grant Delpit here.
Hickman, by the way, signed his tender this morning. Just to FYI.
Yeah.
So
is he a free agent next year?
Yeah, he's also a free agent after next season.
But he signed his tender this morning, so there it is. He looking at the lay of the land and saying, like, look, let me go get mine.
Delpit knows his future is not in Cleveland. As soon as they drafted Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, that was probably signaled the end of Grant Delpit's. I think we said that during the draft. That was probably about it. So I don't blame Grant. He's trying to get his next contract. He wants his security. I don't think it's going to come here. So yeah, I think he'll probably be traded. I think he's a very good player.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he's not elite. I don't think he's not in that class.
He's way better than. I think he's way better than average. He just made a Pro Bowl last year. But I just think it's tough because of the position he plays.
What is he, top 15, top 20 safety in the NFL?
Yeah, I'd put him in that for sure. But, if you're going to trade Miles, how can you say you're not going to trade Grant Delpit?
I'm done saying what the Browns ain't going to do and who they're not going to trade. So,
the Myles Garrett trade just accelerated a bunch of stuff. It put a whole bunch of stuff in perspective where it was just like, okay, as long as Myles Garrett was standing there, he was your stopgap. He was the guy that you said, okay, well, I don't know if I can make any of these other moves because I got this guy, and I think that this guy is going to elevate our floor, what we can be.
Yeah.
And when you move him, everybody that's in his draft class, in his range, in his dollar range, in his years on the roster, you can look at it and be like, well, I might as well just go ahead and play him. If you look at E-Man, he's good. I find it funny. I just watch how the receivers are, right? Now I'm hearing Isaiah Bond's name. Now I'm hearing Denzel Boston look like he want to be the number one receiver.
We talked about that yesterday. If you missed it, go back and watch that clip. But Denzel's been balling.
So if you looking at it from Todd Monken's perspective, he don't know none of these dudes. He's like, Grant Delpit, I ain't never seen you play. So he could definitely go with Ronnie Hickman, look at Ronnie Hickman and say, okay, well, he showed up. He been here at camp. I like what he can do. Let's play him. And then, Andrew Berry, say what you want about him. He finds a way to get guys under asset. He finds a way, the Tyson Campbell move. Could you do something like that for Grant Delpit? But I didn't necessarily before today think that they were going to trade him, but hearing you talk about it, I was just like...
it wouldn't surprise me. Amari Cooper, last year of his deal, he wanted a new contract. The Browns ended up trading him, got whatever they could for him. Same thing with Greg Newsome. Got the opportunity to play outside because Martin Emerson got hurt. You know what I'm saying? Didn't really perform all that well. They realized they wasn't going to pay him, traded him, got something for him. I don't see Andrew Berry operating no different when it comes to Grant Delpit in that light. I don't think that the Browns are going to pay him, and as soon as the opportunity comes about to where he can move him, I think he will.
I'm with Earl, and when you're a team that isn't necessarily in that championship window, and we could all agree however good you think the Browns are going to be, do any of us think they're a Super Bowl contender this season, right?
No.
None of us are high on them.
Come on now.
No, I'm just setting the standard. If you're not in that window and you think there's a chance you're going to lose a guy for nothing, wouldn't you rather turn it into an asset if that's not the difference in you being in the championship window versus not? And Grant Delpit is a darn good football player.
He's a good
and
player.
32 out of 32 teams would want Grant Delpit on their team. But if you're looking at the big picture for the Browns, they have already signaled to us via the Myles Garrett trade that their main focus isn't winning games in 2026. If it was, they don't trade Myles Garrett for a bunch of future assets in Jared Verse, who's a good player, who we're going to rank among the best edge rushers in football in the next hour of the show. But you don't make that trade if winning this season is your priority. If Delpit doesn't want to be here because he wants a new contract, and more power to Grant Delpit for holding out because he's 28 right now. Gee, you know how the NFL works.
This is his
Not for
last
long.
shot.
This is his chance to get that bag,
This
to
is
get
his
another
last
contract.
bite at the apple.
He should be doing this. I'm with you guys. I just don't see it happening in Cleveland. And knowing Barry's track record, knowing how he would rather turn an asset into a future asset as opposed to just letting it walk for nothing on a team that isn't going to be competing for a Super Bowl this season, I don't see a world where Grant Delpit is here when the season kicks off in September.
The only concern I would have with moving him is I do think he's great in the locker room. I think he's one of those leaders. He's somebody that guys look up to, and you've got to have somebody left. Who's going to be left? who's the leader on the offensive side? I mean, you want it to be the quarterback. You hopefully that the quarterback emerges. But right now, can you point to anybody on this offense and say that that's the leader of the unit? And defensively, I mean, it's got to be Denzel and Grant at this point. So if you get rid of all of the veterans, I think you run the risk of having a rudderless ship in October and November. So that's the only pause that I would have. But I still think that the wise move is to move on from him now.
I think that, and this, again, things can change, especially since the Myles Garrett thing, but when you talk about this youth movement of the Cleveland Browns and what veterans fit into their plans or to that criteria, right now, in my opinion, I think Denzel Ward is about the only one that they will consider, 2 times, 3 times one before moving him, because he is a veteran player. He is still playing at a high level, and he's impactful in the locker room. As far as leader on the offense, it's really hard to identify somebody, but when you said that, the first thing I thought about was emotional leader, and then Quinshon Judkins popped in my head. And so that's probably the closest thing to that on that side of the ball right now. You hope that, the quarterbacks emerge to be that, but you see just the way that he played last year. You see how he was firing guys up on the sidelines, and just the tenacity and the level of emotion he played with when the offensive line was bad, the offense bad, the team was bad, wasn't winning games, and you couldn't tell by his body language and his energy that any of that was going on. That's leadership to me.
Well, we look at it like this, man. We talk about the youth for the Cleveland Browns. Well, the Cleveland Guardians got a lot of youth. They were in first place, but that youth came back to bite them, get swept by the Yankees. Are you a little nervous that they're too young to understand the moment? We'll come back and talk about it right here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.